Hello everyone, hope you're doing alright. Today I have for you a little gameplay by Mr. Shadow Prime. We're doing a little bit of a VOD review today. If you want to get your own VOD reviewed, you can send your VOD over to bigsgaming@gmail.com, bigsgaming@gmail.com. I do have kind of a backlog that I do need to get through, but I'm hoping to get back through these sooner rather than later now that life has calmed down a little bit. So, Shadow Prime reached out and he said, hey, I want to start getting into ranked PvP. Am I ready to go? Now, let me preface this by saying that Shadow Prime does a lot right in this video. He does damage, he hits the defensive cooldowns. Like, there is good things going on in this gameplay. So, if you want to get into ranked PvP, we got to get a little nitpicky. So, there are a couple things that I want to focus on over the course of this video. They come down to these buttons living over here for the most part, all right? So, let's focus on our predations, which is this button right here, the speed button, go burr. Let's focus on our chokes, our CC. Let's focus on our interrupts down here. Now, starting from the beginning here, we do not have any of our interrupts bound. That's kind of sad. Interrupt is one of the most useful abilities in the entire game because it stops casters from doing damage. It prevents them from, hitting their casted abilities, which is kind of important. So for example, right here, we're currently hitting into a sorcerer. If we had our interrupt bound, we could stop this force lightning, which is going to do a whole bunch of damage to us because it's a madness sorcerer, so they do a whole bunch of damage with the force lightning. We have the opportunity to really cuck some of these casters, right? But because we don't have our interrupt bound, we don't really have that opportunity. So the first thing I would recommend doing is binding up that interrupt. It's just going to prevent you from taking damage, and it's going to stop your teammates from taking damage, and it's really going to be annoying to deal with. So, if you have mouse buttons available, or if you have keybinds available, the first step that we should probably take is binding the interrupt, and then slowly getting used to actually, using your interrupts. It's very easy to do. It doesn't cost you any cooldowns, so it doesn't slow down any of your DPS. It's just a benefit that we're currently not taking advantage of. Another benefit that we haven't taken advantage of yet is our choke. You are a Marauder, which means that God has blessed you with the ability to have a CC pretty much for free. It's very, very useful. However, it's only useful if we use it, which is kind of the issue of the setup that we have here going on right now, where a lot of our very useful abilities are living off to the side of our screen here. And they are all bound, which is good, so it means you can hit them. However, they're not living kind of where our eye lives, which is right around here, right? The human eye is not very good at focusing on multiple things at once. We're just not. We're not meant to do it. We finally use our CC here to secure this kill, by the way. Good job. But our entire attention span is focused right around this area where the action is happening, where our primary buttons are. We're not really good at paying attention to anything outside of this box. And so we have these very useful abilities over here that we're kind of neglecting more than we could be. A way to get around this is to either move this quick bar down here, make it a little box, so that way it all kind of lives in one central area, or just to kind of train your mind to be more aware of our side abilities here. So that's the second thing I would focus on first, just binding interrupt and using it 24/7. And then the second, choke me daddy, okay? Using your CC is incredibly important in ranked PvP, and knowing that, hey, this person is entering a burst window. If you see a AP power tech with the fuel on, if you see someone about to line up that massive burst, using that choke to interrupt that massive burst window is going to be very important. So, choke me daddy, all right? Please, you're going to be very, very beneficial for it. Third, we finally used our predation about 4 minutes into this fight. Predation is probably the most useful ability that Marauders have. There's a lot of useful abilities for Marauders for sure. However, predation is a team-wide benefit. It does a couple of things. First, it lets us get to the target faster, which is just flat out very, very useful. Predation, you're a melee class, get close to the target very quickly. It's only a 30-second cooldown. It's very, very nice. Secondly, it helps your entire team get closer to the target. There's a lot of melee going on right now. It helps your melee friends get to the target if they are, not in leap range, or if their target is running away from them. It's a team-wide utility. Additionally, it helps your teammates run away. If they are ranged casters and they need to get away from a melee, a predation is very, very useful for them. So, we need to be smashing that predation more, because we've used it once so far in the course of an entire Void Star round, with the course of 3.5 minutes. That is 7 predations that went down the drain. 30-second cooldown, 3.5 minutes. If you smash it on cooldown, you can be speeding up your entire team over and over and over again. This is something that the very best free marauders do well, is that they smash predation 24/7. Not because it only helps them, but because it helps every single member on the team. Now we're hitting into this tank here. That's fine, that's okay. I'd much rather us be hitting something that's not quite as durable, especially when you're hitting into tanks. Like, it's just a slow grind. There's probably someone better who you could be hitting. Like, for example, the sword that's sitting over here. This is another very, very specific complaint, is that over the course of this entire encounter, we hit into a lot of bubble stuns. Bubble stun. Sad. Sad times. We also used our breaker here. That's neither here nor there. I would not recommend breaking bubble stun. From here on out, I want you to treat every single sorcerer as if they have bubble stun. Until proven wrong, anytime you see a bubble applied to a sorcerer, back up a few feet. Because it's sad times every time. It's such an avoidable mechanic to just back up out of melee range, use a raging burst, and then not get CC'd by the stupid bubble stun. Here we got bubble stun again. This is avoidable. All this is very avoidable stuns that we are actively tunneling into because we get damage hungry, right? Now we do a very good job here. We chase, you track down where the target went to. We use our stealth, and we're gonna use our predation to get over there closer. Good, you're chasing. Good. But once again, we stand up this guy's ass and get bubble stunned again. Now we get him, like it's fine. It ended up working out. But we just got bubble stunned 3 times in a row and didn't learn from our mistakes. So, from here on out, every time you see a sorcerer that has a bubble on them, this guy doesn't have bubble stun. Thank God. We would have gotten bubble stun again because we got damage hungry instead of considering, oh, bubble stun's going to slow me down. You do less damage when you're stunned compared to, when you're actually doing damage. So, basics, covering them once again. Choke. Choke me, daddy, por favor. Okay? Thank you. Interrupt. Bind it. It slows down ranged DPS. It's a very useful ability that we're just not using. Predation. Smash it. Smash it. We could be chasing this guy down very easily if we just pop predation. See, there we go. We finally smashed it. Use it for your entire teammates. All right? It's not just a one-off thing. It's useful for everyone. Bubble stun. Please watch out for bubble stun. Like, it's super obnoxious to deal with, but we can totally deal with it. The last thing that you can implement right now, Mr. Shadow Prime, is actually coming right over, oh, here, let me get my pen. Right over here, there should be a box that says Target of Target. Target of Target is probably the most useful ability in the game because if you've been watching this fight, you're gonna see that, hey, we've been spending our defensive cooldowns here and there, right? We're popping them, we're not neglecting them, but they're not always the most useful because you don't know exactly when we should be popping them. By turning on Target of Target, we learn, like, hey, if I see my face here, oh, here's my smiling face, oh, and then it's you, and you see an AP power attack targeting you, it's time to pop defensive cooldown. It gives you information on, am I in danger? Am I in trouble? Do I need to pop my defensive cooldown? So you're gonna go into your interface editor, you're gonna come here and you're gonna turn on Target of Target, so that way you're gonna know the next time someone's tunneling into you, oh, I should probably pop my defensive cooldowns. So those are the kind of 5 things that we want to implement. Interrupt, choke me daddy, predation on cooldown. Don't stand in a goddamn bubble stun, bro. It's so easy to get away from it. And finally, turn on that Target of Target, and that way we will better know when to use our defensive cooldowns. Those are 5 very basic tips that we can learn, so that way when you go into ranked PvP, you're going to be a little bit above the rest. However, for the rest of this fight, we did damage, we popped defensive cooldowns, we charged our targets relatively decently. You used your stuns and your defensives like in a pinch, but you can be a little bit more aggressive with it. So those are kind of my 5 things that I'd like to see out of you. However, I would say that if you want to queue ranked PvP, I don't see any glaring issues here. I think you'd be just fine. I would get the fell though. I saw we were using Cauterized Coordinary. Grab the fell, you're going to survive a lot longer. So those are kind of my tips. If you have any questions, comments, complaints, concerns, conundrums, etc., let me know down in the comment section below. And then if you want to see your VOD reviewed, send it to me, bigsgaming@gmail.com, bigsgaming@gmail.com. Otherwise, I don't know, like and comment and subscribe. Do it. Or don't. I'm not your dad. You do whatever you want, all right? All right. Goodbye.